Welcome back, pilgrims. It has been a rather long time, wouldn't you agree? Well, I am glad to say I am back. In my small group of loyal viewers, as well as my IRL friend group, there's this inside joke, or rather this running theme, that I am both a Luciferian and an Orthodox Christian, and as strange or contradictory this might sound on the surface, it's actually somewhat true. You see, I was drawn to the left-hand path very early on, yet the context in which I grew up did not make me develop an adversarial relationship with Christianity. On the cultural side of this, in Greece, Christianity is much more part of tradition and national heritage, rather than a set of rules that is meant to dictate every aspect of your everyday life. On the more theological side of things, Orthodox Christianity, which is historically and theologically closest to original archaic Christianity, does not have the heavy moralism of, for example, the evangelicals, or the obsessive legalism of the Catholics. And in this context, sin is not really transgression, a moral transgression against divine law. It is more of an ontological misstep. I think this is best understood in the meaning of the Greek word for sin, the original word for sin, amartia or hamartia in the more classical version, which means missing the mark. It's essentially an archery term. In this context, sin is really much more meant as a misstep in this path that is ontologically set out by Christianity. Therefore, my journey into the left-hand path was not really coupled with some contrarianism toward Christianity. And therefore, as I was getting much more into it, I started actually noticing the similarities and even the commonalities between the left-hand path and Christianity. And I think that it is high time that I present all of this to you. Be warned, my friends, this is going to be filled with very cringy, badly made theatrics that I enjoy so much. Roll the tape.
Right versus left-hand path is not the simplistic concept of ontological obedience versus ontological rebellion. What defines the paths are their psycho-ontological goals, what place they believe consciousness should have within the architecture of being. For the right-hand path, that is the erasing of individuated consciousness through its dissolving into the transcendent state of all of being, or the Godhead, depending on how you look at it. For the left-hand path, it is the transcendentalization of individuated consciousness, also called theosis or apotheosis. Strong historical examples of right-hand path schools of thought are Buddhism and Gnosticism. The goal of Buddhism is to escape suffering. Suffering, they thought, is caused by desire, and desire is intrinsically linked not only with individuated consciousness, but also with the empirical world, the material world, the world of multiplicity, of distinctiveness, of lack, and therefore of want, they would say. Therefore, for the Buddhist, the material world, the empirical world, is a wretched source of suffering that is to be escaped. The Gnostic will go one flamboyant step further and say that the empirical world is the flawed, wretched creation of an evil god, the demiurge, the blind, idiot god that created the empirical against the great ontological design and ignoring higher wisdom, therefore creating a flawed world, and it is because of this flaw that there is suffering. For the left-hand path, the empirical world is something quite different. It is the anvil that forges the initiate. It is a crucial part of the path toward theosis. And suffering and struggle and the will to overcome and multiplicity and distinctiveness, the very experience of the empirical world, are crucial part of the initiate's journey toward individuating consciousness in a transcendental state. So, having said all that, where exactly does Christianity fit within these categories? Well, the doctrinally stated goal of Christianity is theosis. Every soul is to become godlike. It is the transcendentalization of individuated consciousness, definitely not its dissolving. And the material world, the empirical world, and the suffering within it play a crucial part. Golgotha is the path to godhood. Up to this point, the way I describe it, Christianity sounds very much left-hand path, but it is in some way distinct from other more traditional ways we think of the left-hand path, let's say. And I think that is that it lacks this schismatic element that the left-hand path often has. It seeks transcendentalization of individuated consciousness, yes, but in harmony with the order of the world, in harmony with Logos, Agape, not against the Godhead. It is theosis without wounding of being, if you will. It can certainly be contested that Christianity is a left-hand path tradition, but to say that it is a right-hand path tradition is simply incorrect. A concept that is central to Christianity is agape, a generalized love, an unconditional goodwill toward the people you encounter. Some have viewed agape as incompatible with individuation, which is central to the left-hand path. Yet, not only are agape and individuation compatible, agape in fact requires individuation. For emotion between entities to exist, these entities must be distinct. What the New Age right-hand path sells as love is soul-devouring unity. What emotional bond can there be when we are all one unity without distinction? In fact, more traditional right-hand path thinking rejects emotion entirely. Agape might be a calm passion, but it is a passion nonetheless. Unlike Buddhism, Christianity is not against emotion and attachment. Christian Stoicism is not about becoming emotionless. It is about meeting your passions calmly. And agape is such a passion. It is the emotional attachment to the idea that, despite suffering, this world is worth it. That creation and consciousness are good. individuation is not only compatible with Christianity, but it in fact plays an important role in its theology. The birth of Christ is the manifestation of the transcendent as individuated consciousness. And the path of Golgotha, being the path to theosis, is an appreciation for and an acceptance of the painful material world, of human strife and struggle, of the will to overcome, as a crucial, ontological, and moral axis. We have seen individuated consciousness and the material world as having a central role in Christian morality, and the same is true for the traditional left-hand path. Both say yes to individuated consciousness and creation, unlike Buddhism and Gnosticism, who see these two axes as undesirable, if not outright evil. From this line of thinking, a generalized form of ontological ethics may arise, and specifically, a definition of evil. Evil is that which chooses non-being, and that which wounds being. It is here where the Christian and the adversarian have a common ontological and moral enemy. The right-hand path, the promise of annihilating unity as an escape from suffering.
I pray that you have found this exploration interesting. But beyond the more academic side of things, I think that in this combination of Christianity with the more traditional left-hand path, that there is promise, that there is the potential for a golden path. We shall keep exploring further as time goes by. Walk blessed, my brethren, by Christ and Lucifer, individuated in Agape. May we find our night side of Eden.
Always.